Hello, everybody, and welcome to this journey with me and Jenny Adams. We are here tonight. It's Thursday. I don't know. I made a TikTok this morning, and I'm like, oh my God, it's Thursday. Where did the week go? I don't even know. I don't even know where this month went, actually, truthfully, honestly. For those of you who were waiting for Monday, I'm going to make my apology now. I had a window of opportunity, and I say window of opportunity because it was a window of chaos and mayhem to go Christmas shopping and do get my nieces and nephews and stuff done. And what happened was I did not contribute or plan for the Lower Mainland Coast traffic at that time of day, and totally got slammed with traffic, stuck in traffic, and I didn't actually make it back to the house until 6:30, and I'm so sorry we missed meditation on Monday, but we will be there next Monday, and we are going to be exploring some, I don't know, I think we're going to work on some stuff because the solstice is coming up next week. That's right, the solstice. So those of you who are there, I apologize. We will be back live on Monday. So Diane, Purple Princess, Alex, who else do we have here today? All of you on TikTok, welcome to the show. And thank you for being here. So tonight, hi Jenny, how's it going?
Hello, good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited about tonight's a big night, I think. Like tonight's an interesting night because I don't know about you. For me, this is one of the things that people who work with other people to help them progress and find their path don't often talk about the speed bumps and the roller coaster and all the stuff that they had to go through to get where they're at in their journey. And I don't know. I'm just excited to kind of share this part because it's the good, bad, the ugly, and the indifferent, at least in my opinion. Yes. All of the above, and probably some sledgehammering, rock crawling, falling, destroying everything. How about you? What do you feel like when you think about your speed bumps? Like, how does that resonate with you? What is that?
I feel like I'm have so many speed bumps lately. And it was funny because they didn't hear because you hadn't pressed play yet, but you were talking about how you went and had you're a client today. And I was literally having my meditation this morning and I was like, I gotta go see Jen. Like, no matter, I'm at this point right now where my meditations, I feel like aren't getting me to where I am. And sometimes I just need that recalibration from someone who is not myself. So I love like always working with someone or having a coach when I need it. And I'm feeling at that stage right now. I'm like, okay, I can't really get to where I want to go. Like there's some stuff that's underneath and it's like kind of stopping me from getting to that next level that I want to get to. So I'm like, Jen, I need to go see Jen.
I'm glad it's like mine when you're talking. Yeah. I love working with you because it's always a journey and it's always fun.
So they're always crazy journeys. Last time we had one, I was like, oh my gosh, like I'd never been on such a crazy journey in my whole life. I was like, we gotta videotape one of these.
That is okay. We're definitely on the same length because I was thinking, and I forgot to ask, and I actually wish I really had videotaped this one. I was going to ask Jen if we could videotape my side of it so that, she didn't have to share her side as the therapist. But the next one I'm doing, I'm going to tape and share fully because I think part of this is seeing the raw side of it, because I don't know if you haven't, it's a process. Like I've never had, most of my sessions are wonderfully exciting. I've had one in the whole time that I've been doing hypnotherapy, including school, where I've had one normal textbook session. And that threw me so off. I didn't know what to do. I was like,
yeah.
Okay. And it was the funniest, most awkward ending to a session that I've ever had. So you talk about that because when we get to this point, and a part of our journeys is, I don't know about you, but feeling into things, like feeling when you need to pause, when you need to go, when you're stalling. I'm a staller. So
me too. I'm 100% a staller.
I stall. I'm like, oh no, I got too much work to do. I'm gonna like book in more clients, and I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna work 12-hour days just to avoid. I fully admit it, avoid what I know is coming my way. But how do you feel it? Like
I
I
wish
know.
I was that kind of staller. I'm more of like a hibernator, don't talk to me kind of staller.
Well, I get very homebody-ish. I'm not gonna lie. I get very quiet. Um, yeah. How do you like know though? What do you feel? What do you sense? What comes up for you when you know that you're in this point where I call it the lull?
It's definitely lull. And to be honest, I was thinking about this today too. Kind of like I have a hard time combining my spiritualness with my human self. Like I would rather spend most of my day in like a meditation in spirit or la la land. And I have a hard time being in my body and like being human. And especially right now, like it's Christmas time and Sadie's birthday's coming up in January. And I always kind of like separate my human self from that grief, which is weird because I'm also a medium and I see Sadie every single day. So it's like my soul self, my light body, as you call it, sees my daughter all the time. But my human self has this conditioning where I'm supposed to be sad, but I really don't know how to deal with it. So I kind of just like, it's like this weird transition during this time of year too. So it's like, I would rather spend most of my time in spirit than I would in my body, if that makes sense.
Oh, it makes okay. Yeah, like 100%. I actually, for those of you who might be having some meditation issues, one of the things that I ran into because
Oh, I do have a hair. I kept getting a tickle, and I'm like, but the hair is stuck to my bottle.
welcome to the world of long hair, everybody. It is everywhere. I'm like, really, it's just it's a joy. But I don't want to give it up. I'm so attached to it. It's not even funny. Even though I keep cutting it off, thinking I'm gonna stay with the cut off hair, and then I'm like, oh my god, my long hair. So we were talking about that, the time of the month, and then like when you get disconnected and you feel like you want to spend more time in spirit. I actually a couple years ago, I was struggling. It was probably 2018. After I got my eyesight back, I really struggled with connecting because I had spent from like 2016 to 2000, halfway through 2018, working at healing, right? So I spent all this time in the light body, in the past life, in that ether, and my body started to reject meditation. It was like, nope. It got busy, it got fuzzy, it was static.
I got goosebumps.
Right? It
Shit.
was like that. It was bad. Like I couldn't, like, I know I'm like all like excited for the show tonight, but I couldn't sit still. I was like just overdoing everything. Like I had no time for myself. And it was because my body, when I sat down, I was like, okay, I've been doing this for 3 months and I need something to give. And ended up going camping with no cell service, no nothing. So of course you got to face your demons at that point because you're going to sit there, oh my God, it's quiet. Oh my God, there's nobody around. And I asked my body what the deal was. And my body literally connected with me and said that it was terrified that I wasn't going to come back. That I was just gonna exit stage left, stay in the ether and be like, so sorry. And I wouldn't put it past me at that, like having that ability and that out. I have actually experienced that in past lives. So it made sense to me why my body was thinking that. So I had to make a contract, like a agreement, a proposal with my body. I would not cut the cord, that I would come back no far.
Yes.
Like I was having, when you get paralyzed, when you're like wake up and you can't move, but you're aware, like you're conscious, but you're physically stuck.
I've never had that, but some of my cousins experience that.
Okay, well, I used to experience this all the time in meditation, where I would know that I am not in my body, but my body is awake. So of course,
wow.
And I've been able to talk to him, like, no, you're fine. I'm coming back. Like, don't worry. But I had to make that agreement. As soon as I made that agreement, off we went to the races. I could meditate again, I could journey again. But
I'm
Yeah.
feeling like I'm moving a lot of energy with that because I keep wanting to yawn. And I
Right.
always feel like when I yawn, I'm just moving the energy. So if you see me yawning, I'm not bored. I'm moving
I know.
energy. Okay.
Actually, it's one of the most common things when people yawn.
Mhm.
Their eyes closed, they get like in that space, like deep breaths. Like mine's
Yeah.
breath. Like all of a sudden I'll be like, and I'll do
Mm.
that during sessions when I've been channeling and holding a lot of space for the person or the connection and the guided information coming down. And all of a sudden I'll need to breathe really deep. So I totally get it. But yeah, so that was my experience with
Mm.
disconnecting. And it took a while for my body to trust that I would stay because of my experience when I was 20, when I did exit stage left halfway and decided to come back. So we had to go back to that moment and be like,
Yeah.
see, I chose to come back. I didn't have to come.
Yes.
So, um,
Definitely moving energy on that.
well, I don't know if you've been looking into the 12-12, but we're in that space where
Uh, I'm
there are
obsessed with 12-12 lately, but I've never looked it up, but I see 12 and
we're at
2-12 all
endings.
the time.
We're in
But
this space. We got the solstice coming up, right? So the solstice is we're moving into that energy where we are coming into these conclusional space. We're in the space of conclusions where we're starting to conclude the old patterns, the old loops that we've been in, the old programming, so that we can step into a new phase of ourselves. So if you guys feel like the conclusions are coming hard and things are coming fast, it's because we are in this cool vibration where we can close out any of the patterns, habits, behaviors, reactions, actions, energies, imprints, all of that stuff, karmic contracts, whatever, wherever we're calling it today, because that word's going to change a million different times, that'll have kept us still and kept us stuck in the old patterns, the old energies. So it's a really good time if you have the opportunity to spend 10 minutes and think about where has the old version of you gotten stuck and where are you stuck in the old version and what are you willing and ready to let go of.
And that's 12-12. That's the
12,
meaning of 12-12. That's crazy.
it's
So
part of the meaning, yeah, and we're at that place.
okay. I love that, Jen. It's like you're speaking to my soul tonight.
Well, you know what? We're here. I got the cards and they're all like, hello.
Yes. Are you going to start us with a card?
I will. Give birth in reverse. So I'm pretty sure that's going to talk about the fact that we're in conclusions. So we're in this
I can't
space
stop yawning.
Yeah, letting go of the endings, guys. Taking that time. For those of you on TikTok, here we go. Come join us on YouTube. Ask us some questions. I'm getting better at reading the questions. But yeah, endings. We're in that place of endings and releasing those endings so that we can step into this more vibrant version of ourselves that allows us to step forward in our own purpose and mission. So yeah, I've been shuffling cards for like 25 minutes now. So I was excited to pull my cards.
Yeah.
I left them in Vernon and I didn't take them to the coast. And I got to tell you, they spoke to me every day and it wasn't nice. And it was more like, hey, what do you think you're avoiding us for? So when you talk about your speed bumps, the things that you have to overcome, do you ever notice if there's a certain moment where you get clarity that you are kind of stuck, you're kind of in a speed bump kind of space?
Yes. If I'm understanding you right, like if I know I'm kind of in a funk and then I feel like I'll be listening to something or doing something and then I can feel the hits of like inspiration of like this needs to change, or I'll listen to a song and I'll hear lyrics and I'll be like, oh my gosh, it's speaking to me, or I start to see the signs and symbols from the guides, or I'll be having a meditation and it will be like, go see Jen Snow, and I'm like, okay. It's like always like, okay, I need to do something, and I mentally I feel it, but physically is my body feels sluggish, like it needs to release something. And yeah, I'm definitely feeling that right now, and it's probably been like the last couple months. And again, I'm gonna yawn because clearly this episode's special for me. and moving what I need to move. And just really clearing out before January, because I just want to really just take off and be done with it. And it's this crazy human part, how we were talking about how I sometimes would just rather, be in spirit a lot. Like I was doing, I'm in counseling. I just started back in October for Sadie, my daughter who died 2.5 years ago. And again, her birthday's coming up, and it's just like that same dread's coming up. And I'm like, fuck, like you just have to keep repeating these weird human things over and over again. But each time you do, you are learning different things like that your body, your mind, your soul needs to integrate, right? So it's like every year it's like the same things coming and coming again, but you're just like, okay, well, what am I learning this time? Because last year I was a little bit more disconnected in my body, and this year I'm actually trying to feel through it instead of disassociating and integrating that grief into my life for like turn your pain into purpose. So I'm really trying to like navigate through that right now. So it's like crazy how each little piece of your life just like has this beautiful trail. And before I came on here, and it was funny, I pulled this card and it says, stop overthinking, you're already facing north. I am and will always be moving how I want to go. So it's like, no matter what you bump up against, like it's always meant for us. No matter if you feel like you're doing it 1,000 times or 2 times, you're learning, you're integrating, you're learning how to feel it in your body, in your mind, your soul, and the lessons that you take from that, right?
And I want to talk, like, it's this conversation is very interesting. I wish you were there this afternoon when I did the session, because one of the parts, so one of the facets that I was working with today in my session was actually took me back to a past life that I had already gone to. I went to with the instructor of the school that I went to through hypnotherapy, because I was blessed to have worked with her outside of school, because we became friends while I was going through this journey, because we lived close and we connected. You connect to that soul that you're like, okay, everything that I can talk about with you. And she never looked at me like it was crazy. And none of my past lives are ever normal for the most part. And so I went back to this life today, and I actually recognize it. Now, when I do hypnosis or I do meditation, I do any form of healing, I am a full regression. I fully integrate into the scene. So I see it like I'm looking through my own eyes.
Yeah.
And I feel and experience everything. But there's another
100%.
faction. There's the partial regression where they, you look down from above. One is not better than the other, guys. Learning where you sit when you're doing your work and you're doing your meditation will actually help you guys not fight it. Because I like to see the big picture, but I'm a full regressor, so I'm in there, so I can only see this much, right? I can see and feel what I feel. But this time I went back to this life, and it was an interesting life. It was a traumatic life, but I took a different perspective because I was looking at it from a bird's eye view.
Wow.
And I partially regressed, and it almost threw me off, actually. I was like, I could see the whole scene. I'm not seeing through it.
Oh, yeah. I can see that. That's crazy.
It was crazy. And it was about understanding the purpose of that life as a whole and the different dynamics of that life. Nothing being by chance.
I'm like goosebumps everywhere.
Yeah. And it was
that's
my divine
amazing.
feminine. This is the part of my divine feminine that I had denied. And she was one of the things that I had to reintegrate with on a different level. And so doing that partial regression and seeing the whole life as like from a soul perspective shifted how I carried that past life. Now, there were a lot of tears. Don't get me wrong, guys. I ugly cried the entire thing. But there was a lot of peace and calm. So, we think we may go to a life once and we think the whole perspective of that life is healed, but sometimes that's not the case. And it hasn't been the case in a lot of my major lives that have been activated in this present time, where I've had to go back and heal portions and pieces and then re-heal different portions.
Yes, because it's just too much to do all at once, right? Or it's just like you can't integrate everything all at one time. It's like the layers, right?
Oh, we're back. Sorry, guys.
Me or was that you?
It was probably me. I
Mm.
switched over. I got both of my internet. I have two internets because of where we live, and both of them went down for a second. So apologize, guys. So yeah, it was
allow this energy to go through me.
It was really interesting to go and see a different perspective of the same life that I thought I'd healed everything, and I truly did heal most of that life in the first time, but this time I could see it differently and experience it differently. So when we repeat things, it doesn't always mean we failed at succeeding the first time. And that's a slump that I had to overcome. It's a lesson I had to learn. And it's really important to know that. Because I think, I don't know about you, but throughout the healing journey, we always think, well, we're one and done, right? Or it should be that way.
Yes, you think that's what's going to happen. Oh, I don't mean to laugh.
No, I laugh. I'm laughing at me because I have that very strong point of view. Well, I completed this. Well, maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe there was more, and I just wasn't ready to see it. But that has created a lot of. I don't know if that's how this has affected you, but that really actually caused me to turn away from the healing journey for a little while because I was mad at it. I was like,
yeah.
What do you mean I'm not done?
Yeah, I hear you. Because you're just like, seriously, again. But then it just gets better. And then you're like, wow, I just freaking did that again. I'm a rock star. I'm a badass. Like, I can do that. And you just feel so empowered when you just keep slaying, right? So it's crazy.
So what's another speed bump that you've run into on your journey? Something that stands out to you that you're open to sharing with us.
Probably, like I already kind of mentioned it, but like I disassociate from my body a lot. And it's like really been a conscious thing for me to continuously try to bring myself back. I'm like self-diagnosed with autism. I just finished doing that. Mm-hmm. I have ADHD, and I was actually just thinking about this like a couple days ago. That's funny. And I was always like so anxious as a child. Like everything was scary to me. Every single thing. Like I wouldn't even eat leftovers because I thought I would die from like bacteria. And I would like, everything was just scary. So it's like, no wonder like I have a hard time dealing with my feelings and stuff now. Is because like those feelings were not really seen as true and accurate for people around me. So I had to sort of disassociate myself when I was a kid because I don't like, it was just so scary to me. So I think I just never allowed myself to feel anything. Like, and people make fun of me because there's so many things that I don't do. Like I even like have a hard time leaving my house like now. So it's like, and then I have to like disassociate myself to just go out and do things. And I feel like from a young kid, like when I would be in bed sleeping and I'm like scared of something, I would have to separate myself just so I could like go to sleep, or separate myself from my body so I could eat dinner without thinking I'm going to like die because that's all we had to eat. So there's things like that. But then on another weird thing, I'm like, am I actually scared of these things, or am I picking up on people who have died doing these things? So there's like two different things. And like, I'm seriously scared to do everything in the whole world, like everything. So is it like me, or is it my, like people around me died doing these things? So I don't know.
I have a question. How do you discover if it's something that is innately a part of you that you're scared of, like because it comes from you, or if it's coming from those people around you who have passed on and you're picking up on? How,
I
what tools
I
have
don't
you
know, because I've thought about it before, and I'll say if we're like driving down the road, and then I'll just like have like a weird vision in my head that I'm gonna like crash and die. And I'm like, whose is that? Mine? Or maybe actually it was somebody else's. Like maybe they did die right here. Or like I know that sounds weird, but that's what goes
No,
in.
it doesn't. I often get imprints from other people,
Yeah.
energy
Like
footprints from places all the time.
Like we used to have a boat and we'd go boating and I couldn't even boat. Like unless we were going slow, if we were boating at a certain speed, like I could see ourselves in a tragedy. And I don't know if it was like it had happened or if it was like something in my brain. So I would have to just separate myself and just be like kind of like zombie, you know? So
I use a
that's
magic eraser. I erase the timeline in my head. That's
uh-huh.
that's a tool that because I often will get these, and I always look at it as seeing the multiple opportunities for timelines to exist, right? And so
Hmm.
I will sometimes get these visions of things happening. I'm like, yeah, no, that's not happening. So I'll erase that timeline, and then I'm like, erased. And then I input what I'm willing to accept on the timeline, and I find that really kind of changes how I move forward sometimes. Like same with like thought patterns and stuff. Like I can get really heady, and I use like I imagine, like literally imagine an eraser. I'm like, nope, that's not the thought that I'm putting out to the universe. And so it's just
Yeah.
that I use that has helped me overcome some of the overwhelming feelings that can happen when you're taking on both the environment or past experiences or potential timelines, trying to figure out which one you're going to step into first. So that's just one of my fun little ones. And I know it sounds really simple and really easy. I don't like things to be complicated. I am that
No,
guy. I
me
may have
neither.
really complicated sessions and we may be going on a journey, but when it comes to myself, I'm like, no, how simple can this be? Because I just don't want it to be hard. Everything else is so hard. The journey itself is a lot of work,
Hmm.
exhausting. So the little things to help overcome speed
Yeah.
bumps, potential speed bumps. I always call them potential speed bumps because they're potential outcomes that are going to cause more discomfort than comfort, in my opinion.
Yes. I like the magic eraser part. And I do a lot of that NDR, like notice, disrupt it, and like redirect, which I do a lot because I'm like, okay, nothing's actually happening right now. It's okay. Or what was the other one? I actually pulled it too. It was called clear, cancel, release.
I like that.
So, yeah. So, like, what's that thought I'm having right now? Okay, we got to clear that. Let's step back and do something more positive because we know that's actually not true for what's going on right now, and release it and just like, and just really try to come back to my body. So, those are things that I've really, really stepped into because I just, I do want to have like more of a better life and not nervous about everything.
Do you have another tool that you use that brings you back into your body?
um, Mostly my breathing. I love my body mantra, and I do that a lot. And I think we talked about it on the last show, but it's like you get your bones and you just get back into your bones, or you can like hold onto your arm here and be like, how far away is it from the wall? And you can just feel it, and you can just bring yourself back into time and space. And it just is really bringing that soul back into us. Like, because I do envision myself like sometimes just being out and I have to like, okay, bring myself back into my body. And I just think that like sometimes I think like I'm just like a really advanced soul that's kind of just like I'm like so done sometimes. And it's just like I'm so connected with source that um it's actually easier to connect with them than it is humans. So it's like easier to play in that realm than with people here, if that makes sense.
Why do you think it's easier to connect in that realm than humans?
I don't
What
know,
is it about that?
because they just get you. You don't have to like explain anything, right? Like you can just be like, like here's my 3D. You just sit there and you just pass feelings back and forth. You don't have to like pretend to be something you're not, you know?
Mhm. I get that.
And yeah. So I don't know. It's just like, I love it. I love it there, but I love humans too. So
It's a delicate balance.
it is. The
That
more
is,
you step into it too.
yeah. I think that's one of the biggest speed bumps once you step into it,
Yeah, it is.
where you get to that place where you're like, well, it's really, really fun up here, and I'm not constricted whatsoever, and I can create whatever I want, be
Oh
wherever.
my gosh. Yes.
Yeah.
It's so good. It's
And
like,
then we
yeah.
have to come back, and we're like, oh. So
Yeah.
what is something, I'm just curious, because I know what I do when I get like that. But what do you do when you get like that? When you're like, oh, it's time to come back to this physical Jenny, the Jenny here in this present time in this life. How do you coach yourself back into that space where you keep your openness? Because let's be honest, we all want to be connected to the divine or to our collective consciousness on a regular basis, but also come back to you here in this time, in this hologram, in this physical reality.
I just do some grounding. I do a lot of journaling practices that bring me back. And one of my favorite things is, I don't know if it still counts, but bringing other people through meditation. But technically, I'm still playing in that world, I guess, because we're then playing in it together. I like to create, and I love crocheting, and that kind of stuff is like my favorite. And I like to eat food. That brings me back. It's like one of my favorite things to do as a human is eat food.
Well, if you know what, if it's good food, it's always good.
It's so good. And
Cooking
my
is.
little sister made these chewy ginger cookies today with marshmallow buttercream fluff icing.
Oh my God, don't even.
I know. So I feel like I'm being a downer tonight, and I don't mean to be a downer.
You're not a downer. So one of the things. So it's about being fluid, right, guys? Being fluid with the world and your essence. So they're funny tonight. They're pulling cards that are very interesting, because drinking water can be something that brings you back in connection into your body, because our bodies are made so much.
Yes.
But
And when you said bring fluid, it just like splashed the water all over my face. So,
well,
like, Holy Spirit activate, just
being fluid with yourself. So I don't know about you, but when I think about being fluid, I kind of get that sense of what this card is trying to say, is that it is about allowing yourself to be both at the same time. Instead of there having to be one or the other, it's about finding your path into creating that connection that allows you to be in both existence simultaneously at the same time, while not choosing one versus the other.
Yes.
And being one against the other, and going into that place where you have that connection, but you're never having to give up it, because that puts us in a space.
Yeah.
And I don't know what's happening here on TikTok, but the screen was talking to me. Gets us into a space of lack and scarcity. So when I'm in that place, when I get to that place where I may be on my healing journey and I've gotten stuck, or I've been wanting to be here versus here, is I utilize my centering, like my coming back to my home base, going away and coming back to my home base.
Oh, yeah.
And recognizing that I've gone away from my home base.
I love that.
And in that space, it reconnects me to my physical body. It regrounds me. So I use all 6 directions: forwards, backwards, left, right, down, up, and back in, and always coming back in. But it also brings in that divine energy into my body. So it resonates my soul energy into my physical body. So I have a foot in one world and the other foot in the other world, and they are, and not one versus the other, not walking around with a high heel and a flat shoe, because that makes it uncomfortable.
Yeah. I keep hearing like your masculine and feminine is when I hear that. Like the feminine for me is receiving, and not being too much in receiving, and being like, okay, it's time to step into my masculine and get this shit done that I need to get done. Because you need the balance of both.
The yin and the yang.
Yeah. I used to be very masculine very much in my masculine. And funny enough, I went to you and you're like, girl, you need to balance your feminine here. And I'm like, okay. And then that's how actually I got into the Ayurveda school, because I was outside and I was just scrolling on Facebook or something, and I seen feminine form Ayurveda. First of all, I had no idea what Ayurveda was. And then I seen feminine. I'm like, oh, it's calling to me. And then it took a few days and I'm like, Sadie, like, is this something I should do? And I took her little 4-hour free class. I'm like, yeah. So I've been doing that for the last 2 years, and that just tapping into the feminine side too. And now that I'm saying that, I'm a little bit too much maybe in my feminine, and I need to masculine it up and start getting the stuff done. So
it's funny how little things happen, right? Where like today, the session that I did was, it was about releasing the gag order that I had put on myself. That's what I would, and healing to me is in a triangle. You have your cause, your creation, and your meaning. And I've done a lot of cause and creation healing, and that stuff is like pretty much solid, like gone. It's there. But my maintenance, I have avoided. So today was all about diving into the maintenance side, the parts of me that are maintaining, et cetera, et cetera. And there was 3 major parts that were playing that role, and feminine was one of them. And another piece was a gag order I put on my own self, and I had to go back and talk about feelings here, feel every life where I created harm.
To yourself and others, or just everything?
Both, like the whole thing. Any life that I created a cause or was a part of any form of harm to another or to myself. And so sitting in that for a couple of minutes and seeing it for what it was definitely part of the healing. So and that was like kind of like the masculine side of it, whereas I chose not to feel any of that. And so today was about stepping into that balance.
That's
and I've been so it's teasing my masculine.
What does that say? Sorry, what did that say?
Side is teasing your masculine. Well, mine just avoided it. It was like, here, we're not going to talk to you at all. So I get that, Stone. I totally get that. But yeah, so that was like the 3 parts of the healing. And it's funny because I've always looked at healing to as, creation, cause, maintenance. And we have to fill the pieces of that triangle. And I've never talked about this out loud, so it's kind of funny that we're talking about it tonight. But that triangle is what I utilized in my own healing journey, and discovered that has to, all 3 pieces, all 3 parts have to have conclusion in order to get the full connection.
Yeah.
So what else we got?
That sounds good.
Well, the feminine's there in you. You know what? We need to, I need to get more in my feminine. Yeah. Well, maybe Katie, some of this is about giving permission. And I don't know about you, but I used to not give my feminine permission to it. I damned her. I was like, you are out. And I would stay in my masculine. And sometimes it's about giving permission.
Mm-hmm. I also felt like being in my feminine didn't have to do with anybody else but me. But as a woman, you feel like being in your feminine has to be for a man, but it doesn't. It's just about honoring yourself, empowering yourself, like eating a nourishing meal. It could be in your feminine, like, because you're like nourishing your body, like doing that self-care, mothering yourself is in your feminine, right? So it has nothing like, but in my mind back in the day, like it had to do with being like pretty and wearing makeup and doing all that, but it's not. It's like a feeling. It's receiving. It's about letting people help you and support you and know that you're worthy. It's self-care. It's self-trust. It's all those. Okay, I feel like pulling a card now too.
I know. I can see you. We're getting to the card part. Here we go. I just want to say I pulled this.
Oh, that's beautiful. See?
But
Oh
we were
my
talking also about
gosh.
honoring the lineage. And this is an interesting thing because there's a lot of history that we are collectively connected to, whether it is our lineage or the lineage of our soul sisters and brothers that are on the other side, that we are part of our soul family, that we have the physical component to create healing for them. So perhaps maybe just sitting with the lineage and seeing where that takes you, Jenny. So that just kind of popped out. I wasn't planning on pulling a card. I pulled it. I'm like, oh, I got to say this. So that might be a beginning step to your next part of your journey when you get it, stepping into your feminine and seeing where you sit with that and where that sits with you, and even connecting with your chakras. That can be a beginning stage where you connect with your divine masculine, divine feminine. Sitting with your chakras can really keep open up that journey as well. So
Yeah.
Jenny's on it. I can see her.
And the card that I got was Blessings and Abundance.
Ooh, I like that card. What deck are you pulling from? Are you pulling from the same?
This is the Kyle Gray one. Yeah. I always use the same too.
I like bright, vibrant cards. I don't know why. It's like why I love my Cosmic Dancer card. Yeah.
No, you just
throwing crystals around, guys.
You know what? I brought crystals to the party tonight too. What crystals did you bring?
Well, I'm sitting on a crystal mat with all these little crystals. Maureen, guys, from our Wednesday night show, she makes.
Oh, wow. That's
so this is obsidian. And I actually pulled this one out of, well, it pulled itself out of the mat. I found it. I did not pull it out. But I was thinking about, because I always go like this, and I always, when I'm doing sessions, when I channel, when the energy is a lot, I just have to have something like, here.
That's the one I use.
Ooh, pretty. I mean, I've got all my crystals in the office, but yeah, this one just wanted to be part of the show.
That's awesome.
Apparently have something to say, clearing all negativity, all negative energy. Mr. Obsidian. I know a lot of people are afraid to work with obsidian, but I really love working with obsidian.
I don't know if I have that one. Obsidian. I always have to remember what they're for, but I always feel called to them. I like crystals, but it's kind of like the moon. Like I like the moon and I like the full and moon and the new moon, but I don't really know what they are about. But I know that I'm drawn to them, and same with crystals. I don't really know much about them, but I know that I need them. Does that make sense?
It totally does. I did a lot of research back in the day on crystals, and we can do a show on it and just eat it. Honestly, I believe crystals have the ability to transform and to bring energy into your life that you need in that perfect moment. And each crystal has its own frequency, its own soul, its own vibration. So they are pretty cool when they jump in the show.
Yeah, I love them. Okay, I'm pulling a different card here. I did have the Blessings and Abundance card, and I still feel like, oh shit, that has to do with the masculine and feminine that we're talking about. And I think like coming back to the times I felt the most powerful, worthy, supported is when I had those in balance. And I feel like the blessings and abundance, when we are in the balance of our masculine and feminine, we're able to receive, we're able to feel worthy and just like execute what we need to throughout the day and do that spiritual work, that's when we're just like going to be freaking given so much, like I see it. And then trust the niggle. Like, what is the niggling feeling trying to tell you? And that's again when we can step into our masculine. So, and that's a perfect thing. Like, what am I receiving right now? What is the source? What is the divine? What is my guides telling me? What do I feel? And it's listening to that and executing and following through. And that's the masculine, right? And that's when the blessings and the abundance are coming in. And it creates this beautiful relationship with ourselves, a trusting relationship. And yeah, when we start listening to what we're being told and following through, that's when the magic happens. I love selenite too.
Oh, I
have mine right here.
All over my house. I love selenite lamps.
I was just feeling it.
And my other one is the Lemurian crystal. Now, I have to say, I did not always like my Lemurian crystal. I avoided it for years And I mean years. I probably had it for 8 years before I even like really sat with it. I was like, yeah, you can stay over there. Nobody wants to talk to you. And then one day it came out. So this card that I pulled is a very interesting card because this is a topic I actually wanted to talk about tonight.
Oh, I love it. I like those cards.
I know. You know what? I've missed them for a week. They're really loud today. Retreat and recharge. This card of retreat and recharge is sometimes, and I think this is an important thing, is that we have to, when we feel like we're not moving forward, we're not creating space, we're not, or we're stuck, or we're in the sludge of our healing or our self-awakening journey or self-discovery, whatever you're doing to change your life, we have to step back and go, are you in a space where you should be, retreating and recharging? Or are you in a space where you're stuck and avoiding? And that is the biggest question, because sometimes those retreat and recharge spaces feel very familiar and very much like a stuck and avoidance space. So we have to kind of, one way to start to discover that is asking yourself, am I needing a break? And what part of me is needing a pause to download what has shifted? And how, do I get asking yourself, is there a sense of time? Like, do I need another week, 2 weeks? And that's when your muscle testing comes in. And, or you can ask yourself that, and I'm like this, I'm pretty blunt with myself. Are you avoiding this? And it says yes. I mean,
you touched base on that muscle testing thing. So what is it again? I kind of heard you talking about it in the last one. I think it was like, so if you say yes or no, then you like move back or forth or something.
So,
is that it?
The simplest way to describe muscle testing is that when you move into something positive, you move away from something negative. However, some people go side to side. So you have to ask your body to show you yes. And your body's going to, you may go in a circle, and it may be to the right, maybe clockwise. You may, when you ask your body to show you no, it may be counterclockwise. So you kind of have to get into that space where you're learning how your body communicates with you. And I use this all the time, especially when I'm avoiding things, because I avoid things sometimes because I'm like, oh, I don't have time to do that today. And I'm like, and I'll call myself out. And sometimes just that call out is enough to shift gears and go, okay, let me write this down. I'll make a plan. I promise I'll get into it. So that is something to, another way to get yourself, whether you're in a slump, out of a slump, or you're taking a break, or you're in this retreat and recharge space, but just being aware of where you are can help you make a plan to move forward. That doesn't mean if you're in a place where you're not ready to face something, don't go and face it. But be aware that this is where you are and you need some more time, and maybe ask for guidance on how you can, to help you move into a place where you can be ready to face it. You don't have to rush it. Healing is not, it's not always like one and done. Sometimes this is the journey and staying in the process, learning your process, your formula is what helps us in the end always get back on track. Whether we take a year off, 2 years off, a month off, a week off, a day off, a minute off, that's all going to be dependent on where you're at and where you need to be.
Totally. I totally agree with that.
Don't be hard on yourself.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, the ebb and flow of things. And that's the thing. Heartbeat, guys. I'm a firm believer. If it's a flat line, we're not breathing anymore. If it's a heartbeat, it's going to be up and down. And that's the way I look at healing. Healing is a heartbeat. We are heartbeat.
100%.
Our heartbeat is our connection to the physical world. And if we don't have a heartbeat, the flat line didn't. As much as I think a straight arrow journey would be, I think that we'd all get a little bored.
100%. I was just thinking that same thought in my mind.
So these cards celebrate the growth, guys. Celebrate the growth.
Yes.
And the issues that you're having, big, smaller, and different. Taking a time to honor yourself. Taking a time to honor the moment. Whether you are stuck and you're not sure where to go, there is still a moment to honor and celebrate there, because you know what? You got yourself to the point where you got stuck. Yeah. You did the work to get there, and you will find the guidance and you will find your way out. You will nothing is permanent. So, they're really, this deck is on tonight. Celebrating yourself wherever you are at.
Yeah. Exactly. And I'm seeing your heartbeat, but like kind of like on like a ladder scale, if that makes sense, because it's not like, even when you say you're doing something and then you go up and you go down, you never go back down to that same level, right? It's like almost like a video game. And when you're playing Mario and you pass that little flag or whatever, like every time you stumble back, you never go back to the beginning. You go right back to this until you pass the Bowser and you're like, yes, next level. And then all of a sudden it's like quiet and you're like, what? Didn't I just do this? Like, no, you're
Yes,
at a bigger level,
the
right? Like you're up level every single time. And it's like, and every time you're going to gain the lessons until finally you're like, yep, I learned that one. You get that flag, and then you continue the rest of the little journey that you're on, and you beat Bowser again. You're like, yes, and then you're like, oh. But it's fun, and those times when you beat the Bowser at the end, you feel fucking so good. Like it's just like, what, I just did that. Like I'm a rock star. And there's something so empowering it. And I always feel like when I have those Bowser moments of beating that part that was just, what is the dark night of the soul I keep hearing lately.
I love the dark night of the soul. I actually think that is the funnest part of the journey.
Yeah. And you just, when you conquer those, you feel so like, and you want to share, and your light shines so much brighter, and you have more compassion, more empathy, and you want to help people through their growth, their transitions. And I don't know, I feel like
I didn't like the
every
dark
time.
night of the soul in the beginning. I'll fully admit that. Through my growth and my transformation, I have learned to love the dark night of the soul, because I know that when I get to the dark night of the soul, something big's about to shift, and I'm out to discover and remember something about myself. So, all right, is this for the collective?
Well, it said the rite of passage. When you're crossing that threshold, look at, like, you can see you're in the dark night of the soul, and then you come out through that beautiful passageway into the next. Right? It just feels like you're in this tornado of what the heck is going on, and your whole world's flipped upside down.
And because I love the dark night of the soul does not mean I love the sobbing, the crying, the nose dripping, the frustration, all of that. But I do. It's a process, and it always will. Know that when you're in your dark night of the soul, you're gonna have more than one, guys. We all have more than one. We all have these shadow pieces of ourselves that come up. And it's about learning to feel them without allowing them to take over and dictate how you move forward, or that you're in it. Because we can feel something doesn't mean that it's in control of us. It means that there's something there to look at, there's something there to shift and shine with, and something to discover about ourselves. So, and I know sitting with our feelings can be really hard. I haven't always enjoyed it. And I've gotten to the other side, but I still don't enjoy sitting with my feelings when they're like, you've been not doing this. So if you're there, one thing I use when I get into my feels, and my feels are not happy, and they're old feelings, or their present feelings, or their past life feelings, or whatever they are, is I tend to ask myself, what is this feeling trying to teach me, and what can I learn from it? And that's a big question. What can I learn from feeling from this way, and what is it trying to teach me? And that usually kind of helps me feel the feels, but not be owned by the feels. And so that's a tool that I use, and I've had to use several times throughout my journey to help myself progress, or at least get a little of the sludge off my face that I've dove into.
Yeah. That's the perfect, like, where I'm at, what do I need kind of thing, right? And sometimes it is feeling the feelings, and like to actually sit with your feelings and allow them to be digested in your body is like 90 seconds. 90 seconds of just feeling the feeling without telling a story about it. If you're feeling angry about something, you're like, why am I angry? Like, what is this bringing up? Right? Like you said, like, what is triggering me? And you're like, maybe just at the end, you just want to feel the sadness, and you just feel that throughout your whole body for 90 seconds and allow it just to flow through you without any story to it, which is the hard part. And that's when you do the cancel, clear, release. You come back. Okay, no, we're not tying a story to it. We're just feeling this. Like, we're going to allow ourselves to digest it, just as we would allow time for our lunch to be digested. We need to do that with our emotions too.
I love that, clearing the story, because how many of us sit there and we're like, attached in a story or an event or a situation or
Mm-hmm.
conversation, past, present, or future, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Especially when you're like ruminating about something over and over again, you're like, what am I really feeling right now? Like, why am I sitting here telling the same story over and over and over and over again? Like, there's something that's triggered that needs to be felt, that needs to be sat with, right?
So we're coming up to our hour. I don't know. You want to pull a couple cards with the collective, finish off with pulling cards, guys?
Yes.
You guys ready?
Let's see, like, what do you guys need to hear today? Like, what do you need to hear? Spirit, tell them what these beautiful people need to hear today. Let's see. Yes. It's a yes. This is the time just to, what is your soul calling you to do? Let's step back into that feminine. Receive. What are you feeling in your body? What is a yes right now that you can step into that masculine and really start executing and empowering yourself, and know that you are supported by you. The universe is supporting you. Whatever you need, you will be supported. And Jen's got like, yeah, a confirmation card.
Right? It is. Touch and expand. So when you begin, or wherever you are on your journey, it's about allowing yourself to know that you're not limited by what you're going through, that you are not trapped by what is coming up, whether it's your dark night of the soul, your heartbeat going up, coming down, your life changing. You are not limited by where you are at in this moment, and you
Look at the card I just pulled.
You always have the power to shift and to redefine the story that you are creating, that you're telling yourself, that you've lived through, and how that story holds you. And it's about recreation of self. So allowing yourself to expand beyond your belief, beyond what you know, beyond what you believe, like where you're at, and just let yourself move into the unknown, knowing the unknown at your soul level has already been discussed, rooted, and is there. So it's just rediscovering and remembering who you truly are at the core. So that's what I got.
That card is crazy. I'm like, look at the card I pulled. It's literally that looks exact same as yours.
That's pretty awesome. So,
and it says trust the universe. And your card, can I see it again? I feel like it's just like,
it's like the comment. It's
yes, like you've just feel like, oh my God, that's amazing.
So that's what I got. And that's funny because I think about that, and that comes with a big nervous feeling for me, because I get that journey. I have fought that journey. So and this is the other thing, is if you guys get nervous feelings around moving forward, sit with the nervousness first. Mm-hmm. Figure out what's creating the nervousness on the next step of your journey. Or if you're looking to manifest something, if there's a feeling that comes up when you think about giving and creating and expanding into something and stretching into something, if there's a feeling there, sit with that feeling, discover what that feeling is trying to show you, or where it comes from, and what it needs so that you could feel differently, because those can be roadblocks and speed bumps that are preventing you from attracting and creating what you want. Sometimes our emotions and our feels can be a bit of a wall. So if we sit with that and figure out what they are, and we redefine them and reshape them, then that can open up this whole new expansion of self. So when you're moving into something, see what it feels like. And if there's any hesitation there, discover what your hesitation is first, and then get back to manifesting and creating and asking for what it is you really want. Clear the path. Mm-hmm. So the path can come to you.
Absolutely, Jen. Love that.
All right. So guys, thank you. So simple, but it is simple and complicated, easy, all of it. I think that's the beauty in it. And it gets more simple as you go, because we learn how to work with ourselves. We learn how to, what our formula is, and we learn how to shift our formula the more we do. And take those breaks, guys. Take your time. It's the process that'll mm-hmm. get you results. So thank Absolutely. You guys for being here. And Jenny, any last words for everybody tonight?
Just be your badass self. Just allow yourself to receive that guidance that you need, and just really step into that next level of who you want to be. You know, who you're ready to become and who's already there. It's already you. You just have to choose to be that part of yourself.
It's like unzipping and stepping out.
Yes.
Thank you,
Yep.
old player. Thank
Yeah.
you, old self. I appreciate you. I honor you. I respect you, but I'm ready to release you. So
that's what I feel like on this call. It was for me and for you guys, but I'll take most of it. Thank you.
Guys, I hope you have an amazing Thursday night. I know that the holiday season is coming. Lots of stuff going on. We'll be here Monday for Monday meditation, and we will be doing, well, in 2 weeks we'll be doing a show.
Yeah.
So we will see you soon, and thank you, Jenny, for
Love you
being
guys.
here.
Thanks, Jen.
And if you guys have a moment, please smash that like button. Please hit that like button so that we can reach more people and we can expand the show even bigger, better, and more. So, all right, guys, have a great night. Cheers.
Bye.